Hello everyone, my name is Jessica and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am a stay-at-home mom to 2 young kids. And why I feel that's important to share is because it just means I get out content when I can. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. It is not easy to get out content, but I love it so much that I do make it a priority as much as I possibly can. So anyways, today's video is all about the Ruby, Franke, and Jodi Hildebrandt sentencing hearing. It actually took me time. I know it's been almost 2 weeks now since their hearing, but I just got a few days ago the recordings back from the St. George courthouse in Utah. I requested them myself because I didn't want to share the law and crimes audio because first of all, it's their content. They're the ones who went out there and did it all, have their own company, to do it, which I respect. Obviously, sometimes they're the only source, so you really have no other option. I also paid for it, so it would cost more than I thought it was going to cost, which is kind of annoying, but it happened. It was $40 US total for both recordings, and they sound good. They definitely sound better than Law and Crimes, but they don't sound as good as they did on Weebix meetings. If you don't know, Weebix meetings is like Zoom, and that's where the Utah courts puts all their meetings online, and it sounded amazing, so clear, but it is actually against the law to record them and then post them. So I wanted to do the ethical way, which is why I paid the $40 for the recordings, and I did the best with what I had with them. And so I'm going to play those for you guys. And the great thing about them being mine is I don't have to just stop and do commentary. I can commentate after on it, which I think is the route I'm going to go because I hate having to stop videos, honestly. And if you don't want to watch it, I have timestamps so you don't have to watch it again. But the audio is a little bit better, and I did put subtitles as well, and then put pictures of people so you could see who Ruby was referencing in her little speech there. And then I'm going to share a little bit about Kevin, and then about their prison that they're staying in, and then what's to come with this case, what's going to be coming out. Very exciting. That stuff will be at the very end, so if you stick around, you can hear all that. But yeah, let's just hop into today's video. Okay, so like I said, let's first hop into their hearings. We're going to do Ruby's first. Ruby's was just distasteful in my opinion. She lacks any sort of real awareness. In my opinion, she is not remorseful in any way. I do not think she feels bad. I think she feels bad she was caught, but she does not actually feel bad just based on her little Golden Globe speech that she did. I don't buy it. For me, like I shared in my deep dive with Gypsy Rose, is you don't really know if someone's reformed until they get out of prison. Anybody can act however they want. They can participate in everything they should in prison, take all the courses they have to, but you're not really reformed and changed until we see how you operate in the outside world. When real life hits your butt, hits you right in the face. Yeah, it's not evident, but I think the only thing she has is realize she's been caught. That's the only thing she realized, okay? In my opinion, like I said, I'm just a commentary channel. I'm a mom. I shared I was a mom, but I don't have credentials, but this is my opinion, and I think whatever, teach their own. But yeah, we're going to get into Ruby's first. Hers is a lot longer. Ruby's is 7 minutes, and Jodi's, I think, was 38 seconds, which is just crazy, the vast difference. So I'll roll Ruby's for you first, and then I'll come back and just share a few thoughts, because I did do some notes, okay, guys? I did some notes this time. I'm trying to get just even slightly better each video.
Judge Wolf. You don't have to get down. Okay, thank you. I would like to make a statement without any intent to change my stipulated sentence. For the past 4 years, I've chosen to follow counsel and guidance that has led me into a dark delusion. My distorted version of reality went largely unchecked as I would isolate from anyone who challenged me. I was led to believe that this world is an evil place, filled with cops who control, hospitals that injure, government agencies that brainwash, church leaders who lie and lust, husbands who refuse to protect, and children who need a... My choice to believe and behave with paranoia culminated into criminal activity, for which I stand before you today ready to take accountability. Jodi Hildebrandt was never my business partner, nor was I ever employed by her. I have never received wages from her or Connexions. Jodi was employed as my son's counselor in 2019, and in 2020 I paid her to be my mentor. It is important to me to demonstrate my remorse and regret without blame. I take full accountability for my choices, and it is my preference that I serve a prison sentence. Thank you to the officers in Santa Clara and the Ivan City Police, Nick Hellman, Brian Peluso, Cy Pickuvit, Mike Pandoyo in Tobler, John Ward, D. Lewis, and Chief Flowers. You were the angels. who came and saved my children. I especially want to thank Detective J. Bate. She plucked me out of a situation I didn't know how to get out of. And the moment she handcuffed me was the moment I gained my freedom. You were not the controlling ones. I was. Thank you to the medical staff at Intermountain Hospital. Your skill, tenderness, and professionalism helped heal my children. Jodi and I inflicted the injuries, not the hospital. Thank you to DCFS, the Children's Justice Center, Doug Basil, and other key adults. You've gathered my children under your wing and offered them love, compassion, encouragement. You were not the one who were doing the brainwashing. Thank you to my Bishop Tom Hawks and my state president Jim Nelson for reminding me of the Lord's love for the lost. So much pain and suffering would have been avoided had I followed and heeded your counsel. I was the one who was deceived, not you. Thank you to the Washington County Prosecutor's Office, Ryan Song, the legal assistants and discovery clerks. Eric Clarke, you exemplified to me how justice and mercy are meant to coexist. My charges are just. They offer safety to my family, accountability to the public, and they did show mercy to me. Thank you to my attorney Lamar Winward and his staff. I would not be where I am today without them. Thank you to Randy Kester for your limitless energy in healing my family. My dear friends, Pam and Roy, I'm so sorry for letting you down. Because of your association with me, your innocence was called into question. My mother-in-law, father-in-law, Kevin's family, my cousins, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, and neighbors, you all saw the warning signs long before I did, and you did what you could. You wanted to help, but I pushed you away. My mother and father, I have been utterly wretched to you. You have offered me unconditional love, and for that I have offered you unconditional contempt. My siblings and their spouses, because of my decision to roll around in a pigsty, I have dragged your families through the mud in public. Yet, when I desired to return as a prodigal sister, unlike the prodigal's brother in the Bible, you synced up with my parents and ran out to greet me. Your capacity to love is unprecedented. Kevin, my husband of more than 23 years, you are the love of my life. So sorry to leave you to finish what we both started together. The ending of our marriage is a tragedy, and you are wrapped around my heart in a knot I'll never be able to undo. My babies, my little chicks, you are part of me. I was the mama duck who was consistently waddling you to safety. I can see now that over the past 4 years I was in a deep undercurrent that led us to danger. I would never have led you to darkness knowingly. I was so disoriented that I believed dark was light and right was wrong. Anything in this world for you. My willingness to sacrifice all for you was massively manipulated into something very ugly. I took from you all that was soft and safe and good. I took from you your mother. How terrifying this must have been for you. I'm so sorry. In your tender soul. You are so precious to me. I'm sorry. My choice to live in fear of the world has created a great vulnerability and a blind spot for me, where I have broken hearts and I've caused people to suffer and I have betrayed sacred trust. Watching my community respond to my charges with justice and mercy and grace and love. There's all the more evidence to me of how wrong I've been. This world is full of really good people. And finally, I'm sorry for twisting God's word and distorting his doctrine. My greatest desire is to stand in his court someday spotless and confident. And Judge Walton, I know that standing before you today is a necessary step towards that end.
Okay, the first thing she mentions is distorted reality. And if you know anything about Connections, you know distortion is the word that they use, one of the massive words that they use.
We're going to talk today about distortion. And use control, the word control, in truth, as well as in distortion. Never heard about distortion, so that took a minute.
And we have been talking about truth and distortion.
In a truthful way or in a distortion way. And what I mean by that is distortion. Where truth is, distortion shows up. That when we feel anger, it predominantly goes into this place of distortion. And distorted anger is there to destroy, to attack, to defame, to exploit.
Not choosing principles of truth means you're choosing principles of distortion, which are going to lead you to destruction.
Remember, control can be in truth and control can be in distortion. Hopefully you've watched the first 3 about parenting and how to empower you and embolden you to be a parent that parents inside truth rather than distortion.
I just realized my mic color. Okay, now you won't see the dirty part. Okay, so distorted. There are many other words you could have used, Ruby. You could have used twisted, warped, contorted, bending, misshapen, twisted. There's many other words you could have used. That was in poor taste. Her lawyer probably should have helped her out with that one. I just think it was really distasteful to use that word. Also, she says she was never employed by Jodi or Connections, which is true in a way, because I've shared in videos before that Connections was like an MLM. So Jodi's your mentor. You pay money and then you get to use her teachings and then teach other people. I know how this works because, like I've shared many times before, I used to be in an MLM. So I know their tactics. I know how it works. I know the lingo, how you can get around things. Technically, she was not paid by Jodi, although they did own the Moms of Truth YouTube channel and Facebook page together. But it was under Ruby because it was her previously, I think it was her 8 passengers stuff, and it just switched to that. I'm not really sure on that, honestly. I don't know like a crap ton about Ruby because I didn't look into Connections. 8 passengers because like everybody was doing that all the time anyways. I really want to go into the Jodi side because no one was really looking into that. I want to insert for you this video that she talks about them being mental fitness trainers. I believe I've shared this, but like I actually probably shared the whole video already in like one of my really old videos when I first started doing this in September. But I'll roll that video for you now, which kind of shows like the MLM-y type style.
There we are. Hi, we are live in Mapleton, Utah at a home of somebody who is learning how to be a mental fitness trainer. And we have Ruby here. And Ruby is a part of the original 10 women that are being trained to become mental fitness trainers. So Ruby, you want to tell us about what a mental fitness trainer is?
Yes. So we are getting mentally fit the same way your body would get physically fit by running and lifting weights and working with a personal trainer. We are getting ready to be your mental fitness trainer. We're getting truth, really easy to teach. We're making it very simple, boiling it down to principles. That's how you're going to understand truth, is really knowing principles, being able to put words to it and help you, and you're going to feel so much better.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to span over here. We've got, can't see.
There we go.
Tori and Sherry. How are you feeling about what you're getting ready to go out and do? Teaching truth to the world.
Excited.
So exciting.
Excited. Yeah.
Coming to a town near you. And here's Kim and Jess.
Hello.
Becky, Liz, Michelle. And then we got Johnny over there. Johnny.
And Johnny.
And Johnny.
And me.
And
There's
Pam. Did you get Pam?
Nope, Pam's over here.
Pam. Hello. Johnny is our male person who comes in and does the role play for the males, so we can practice. So he's he's quite talented to do the role plays with us, so we appreciate Johnny. Johnny's a man of truth as well, and he's also a mental fitness trainer. So glad that you're with us. And any of you who are interested in becoming a mental fitness trainer, we are going to open that up to train other people. So give us a call or email us at support@connectionsclassroom.com, and maybe you can come to the next retreat for the...
Come work out with us.
That's right, come work out.
Put you to work. Bye.
So like that gives you like a little, I think, dive or like a little insight into it being an MLM and how they're seen as being like the mentors, like Jodi's their mentor that they learn from, and then they mentor other people, right? So like she used that language to try to like disassociate herself with Jodi, but it's too late. They're already like together, you know? Not dating. I'm not saying that. Okay, the other thing Ruby says that when she was handcuffed, she gained her freedom. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, again, bad choice of words, because she handcuffed her children. She tied them up. She physically harmed them, you know? So that was a really bad choice of words. To use that, you've had them like literal prisoners for months. And then you say when you became a prisoner yourself, you were free. So are you implying that your children were free in a sense? Like, she's like... It, again, this is all my opinion, but it's just so wrong to use that type of language. I think it's very, like I said, very poor choice of words. And she kept saying things like, she said, like I wrote here, why did she say that the hospital didn't inflict injury? Is it because of her distorted reality of, you know, authority figures, not saying hospital people are, but they do help us, you know, they do have some authority in the world. Is she trying to say like those people like didn't do it because maybe other people do believe that they did it? Or like was Jodi saying that? Is that going to come out? You know, I don't know. It was like a weird thing. Like, yeah, she spoke forever and people feel bad for her. Like Eric Clarke, the prosecutor, like seems to buy into it. Ugh, I'll get into that in a little bit. She also mentions Judge Basil, that woman that I showed on the screen, and I do believe she must be the family court judge who's taking care of the case involving her children and like the custody and all that sort of stuff. She does mention Pam and Roy, calls their innocence, that said their innocence called into question, because obviously in my video, I'm the one who really pointed out Pam and Roy and, you know, whatever on that body cam footage that I have. I think that they got let off, honestly, because Jesse, they had shared previously on the Mormon Stories podcast about Pam being like the lookout person. I do believe Pam knows more than she's letting on, but I believe that the prosecutor and like the Utah government is not going to look into anybody any further. She also mentions, when she talks about apologizing to her parents and then her siblings, she mentions that she sync-stepped with my parents. It's like, isn't it ours? Because it is our, like she's like, she should have said, I sync-stepped with our parents and relate to her siblings, but she said my parents. So that shows it like a narcissist in my mind. Like they're not just your parents. Like she calls herself the prodigal sister. Like, this shows in my mind she has not changed. There's no remorse. She still thinks she's like holier than thou, clearly. And I think I wrote here, how dare she call them 6 little chicks, consistently waddling them to safety? I would never have led you into the darkness knowingly, hurting your tender souls. Like, what? What? You weren't waddling them to safety, okay? Yes, you were living in your distorted reality. Storm, say the word. You were living in your twisted reality, thinking that this was, you know, she said like light was dark and dark was light. Like, okay, so she was living like this. Then she shouldn't have used the statement that she was waddling them to safety, because they weren't waddled to safety, you know? It's very weird. And then she says that the community responds with justice, mercy, and grace. Who did? Just her church, the Mormon people? Maybe I'm wrong. So maybe you guys have seen videos on people like praising Ruby and stuff. I don't know. But again, she's not a victim here in any way. She's not a victim. In my mind, she's not a victim. Okay. She was a consenting adult. She had a past of doing bad things to her children, not being a great parent, not just a strict parent, but being like a very poor parent. Like,
Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry. And hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
Mom, can you give me some breakfast?
You don't need food.
Oh.
Everything that comes into this house belongs to who?
Yeah.
Belongs to me.
Because I really won't get anything for summer. I won't be able to go anywhere. I don't have any friends. No iPads, no TV, nothing.
I cannot wait to hug them and to smell them and to lick them.
Number one is to provide them with food, safety, housing, a comfortable place to sleep. To put your kids sleeping on the ground or whatever those things were that she did is not being a good parent. Okay, she does not have a good track record of being a parent. Jodi would not be able to manipulate her to do this if she didn't already have it in her and wasn't already doing things that normal parents wouldn't do, so those are my thoughts about Ruby's hearing, her statement that she made. I think it was poor taste. I think it was wrong she didn't mention her children specifically, other than saying my 6 little chicks. Like, she mentioned everyone by name except her kids, she said my parents and my siblings, but like, the victims are the ones you should have mentioned, not my kids. She should have said, sorry, Russell, but you're such a hero for rescuing your, like, BS. I'm like so angry, but there's so many words I can't say. I want to swear so bad because she's a bad mom, in my personal opinion. Like I said, my opinion. She's a bad mom, and she should have mentioned their names. She should have mentioned their names. She didn't have to like specifically call the specific incidences that she did, but she could have mentioned some of them. I mean, Clarke has mentioned some things that she's done, so like she could really show remorse in her apology. To me, she shows like she's just hurt she got caught sort of thing, like, oh, of course I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. And then she mentions her salvation. So now let's hop into Jodi's hearing and then I'll come back.
I sincerely love these children. I desire for them to heal physically and emotionally. One of the reasons I did not go to trial is that I did not want them to emotionally relive the experience which have been detrimental to them. My hope and prayer is that they will heal and move forward to have beautiful lives. I am willing to submit to what the state feels would be an appropriate amount of time served to make restitution as an outcome.
So Jodi obviously took no responsibility. Not shocking. I mean, really, I think Jodi did a better job. Maybe people are going to hate me for saying this, but she stayed true to herself. She feels bad for the children, blah, blah, blah. Whether it's a BS statement, she's a narcissist too. At least there's no like facade I guess there was a facade because she did say something about that she didn't want the kids to be like inflicted more or whatever, like having to talk about this and stuff. So I do think that's good, but that obviously comes from her lawyer, and at least like the branding of Jodi is still here and she's not faking. Where Ruby is like, when I was watching this, I don't know if you guys think this too, but when I was watching Ruby's hearing, it kind of made me think of the Gypsy Rose case, obviously because I just covered it, but of how everyone buyed that she was such a victim. Not saying she wasn't, because she was a victim in some way to her mom, but she's also a very manipulative person herself. It made me think of Ruby. Ruby made me think of her in that way. It's like Ruby is like falling under the guise of her religion and her spirituality and how crying in the waterworks and tears. Why do people fall for waterworks and tears? They're not always true. You can just be manipulative when you're crying sometimes. Like some people are sociopaths, especially people who do things to their children like that. You shouldn't buy their tears. I don't know. Just like, yeah. That's all I have to say about the hearing. It really angers me because it's BS, and I can't believe people even think Ruby's remorseful. My opinion is that she's not. But time will tell. So let's get into the rest of this video. So as of Wednesday, February 28th, Jodi and Ruby were both transferred to the Utah State Correctional Facility in Salt Lake City. I can put the distance from their prison or jail that they were at, in St. George, but they were transferred there, and I did share a mugshot of them, and it's interesting that Ruby's smirking. She looks like Bo, her brother. I wrote that in my community post. And then Jodi looks kind of crazy. So if you don't know, in St. George, Jodi was held in the medical portion of the jail, and Ruby, I think, was just like in the general area, wherever you are in jail. I don't really know how like the jail part works. I don't really know how prison works, but just from like looking into things. And then I saw that night Jodi was in the medical, so C block of the jail. And when I was looking up the jail, I could see that C block housed both men and women together. They put everyone so C block is for like medical conditions and like mental health, so like physical and mental health, and you're all housed in the same area. They think it's a lot easier, but you're obviously not sleeping in the same quarters. But it has, I think, 3 buildings or 3 like facilities within that one building, and so that's where Jodi was. So she's been also in that type of facility, but like in a jail setting for months, obviously. So maybe she thought she was gonna get the same treatment there and didn't know, because they're not at a women's only prison. Like it's a massive prison, but there's a men's maximum security, and then there's like women general population, and then there's the medical that's mixed, and I think there's 2 other. I believe there's 5 buildings within that prison that they're at right now. It is a brand new prison that opened July 2022. So just in the time for Ruby and Jodi. So yeah, so Jodi started off in the medical block, and then just yesterday she was moved. Sorry, I should say when I'm recording this. No, maybe it was Friday. So just like a couple days later, she was moved to D block, right? And the interesting thing is that Ruby started in D block. And so D block is for like minimum security. So yes, we all believe that what they did to their children and what Jodi did to Ruby's children was very wrong, so bad. But the reality of the situation is you have to compare it to things like unaliving children. Like, yes, of course it could have got there. And yes, it's very wrong, but they're in the minimum security part. Okay, so I just wanted to read where they both are right now, and they're both in the Dell building. So it's called D block, but the building's called Dell. So they're both there right now. So it says, the Dell building houses the female general population. Dell is also slated to house inmates accepted into the Mothers and Babies program. The inmates residing in Dell are in a centralized location next to job and rehabilitation areas such as UCI/VTs, I don't know what that means, culinary arts, gymnasium, programming, education, and religious services. So she's going to be able to practice her religion there. Obviously, we all have the freedom of religion, but that's not my point. My point here, what I found interesting, is she's going to be housed in the area with moms and babies. Like, doesn't mean she's like in their cell, obviously not, like however it works. But the Mothers and Babies program is for moms who have babies, so infants like a year and under, and they're going to be there. So it's interesting. I love that a prison does that, to be honest, because I think that's really important for the baby. Like, not necessarily like, yes, it's good for the mother as well, because postpartum health is very important. I like that the prison does this, but I find it interesting that's where Jodi and Ruby are. Well, not Jodi so much, but more so Ruby. I feel like Ruby's going to totally get like her way of like wanting to be with babies. I don't know. She's not like the motherly instinct person, but I do find it very interesting that this is where she is. And they have a lot of services in this area of the prison. There's like Zumba classes, there's yoga. You can become a yoga instructor. I saw like this one video on the Utah Correctional Facilities YouTube page. There's like actually a lot that you can do. During like COVID times, they got it so you can FaceTime your family, but now they offer in-person visits, but they can still FaceTime. So I wonder if she's going to FaceTime her family. That's going to be really interesting to know. Yeah. So, and then now that Ruby and Jodi are in the same area, it doesn't mean they're going to sleep in the same area, but what I saw, the cells are crazy. Okay. I'll find whatever pictures I can find. It is hard to find some information, but their blocks, like, it's not just like two people, like what I've seen like in movies and TV shows. Like, they're probably going to be sleeping in a place with like 8 women in one little area. And then some of them have a locked cell with a door, but a lot of them are like open bunks. So like the wall like goes like halfway, and then there's like a bed around there, you know? So it's like not privacy. Like, so they're not, I think they're going to be like sorely mistaken, or I mean, they're there now, but like to what their conditions are going to be for the next 4 years. Well, at least the next 3.5, because they get time served, right? That's all I really have to say about their prison and like where they're staying. Oh, wait. The other thing I want to mention about the prison story is that I learned that the prison was built on like swampland. So there's like a ton of mosquitoes. Like in the summer, it's like an infestation of mosquitoes. So I was like, I don't feel bad for them, honestly, because it's just like, you're prisoners. Like, sorry, don't do the time. Or don't do the crime if you can't do the time, but it's gonna be interesting in the summer. I'm sure Ruby's gonna be not happy, and they're gonna be complaining that they're gonna get eaten alive by mosquitoes. Like, apparently it's really bad. Like, not just like a little bit, like it's a crap ton of mosquitoes. So sounds like torture and awful. So good luck to Ruby and Jodi. Can't wait to hear more about your stays. I am wondering, I bet you time will tell, especially because they're minimum security, so people don't spend like as long there. I'm really interested. There's definitely gonna be stories that come out of people who were housed with them, you know, and like whenever, you know, these stories are going to come out on TikTok, like we've already seen with like Gypsy Rose's case. And that's going to be fascinating. I'm going to be really interested to see what people have to say, because I didn't really believe that other story that came out of that one girl who was in prison, you know, whatever, but it's going to be really interesting. I can't wait to hear about these stories, just like the juicy gossip, you know. Okay, let's get into more of this video. Okay, so one of the things I find important to mention is Eric Clarke. So Eric Clarke is the prosecutor for Washington County, and he spoke with like Law and Crime and all these people coming out after, but he was asked a bunch of questions. I'm not going to play the whole video. It's on Law and Crime already. You probably already saw it if you're super interested in this case, but one of the reporters had asked him,
you consider this precedent setting?
Can you...
In terms of the actual sentences they end up serving?
No, because I think the board takes everything into account so specifically.
And he said no, because the board takes in a lot of factors for convictions, you know? So I want to go into how the Board of Pardons and Parole goes in Utah. So it's very interesting. So like I already shared in the beginning, minimum security, and how they didn't commit some yes, their crime is awful, but it's not like, being a serial unaliver and like those types of things, So they take into account, like, you get points added to your like tally. Like, they have like a grid that they use. And so there's like the level of the crime. So there's like 4 different tiers. There's level of the crime. And then when you go this way, it's like offenders. So how many times they've reoffended. So they use that graph to then decide what their sentence is going to be. But on the lower end, so like 12 to 18 months, they say that probation would be it. But because in Jodi and Ruby's plea deal, they've said prison, it will still be that minimum of 12 months per charge. But that's like the graph they use to determine how long they're going to be sentenced for. And they also take into account if they have the chance to like reoffend, of course, like usual. But Utah works really differently, like I said, where they look at if they've offended in the past, is this their first felony, that sort of thing. So I think that they are probably going to get the lower end. Like, I know people are really pushing for Jodi to have more, and I definitely understand why, because of her track record. But like Eric Clarke was saying here, one of the reporters asked about it being the mother's responsibility.
Do you think, sorry, I'm just trying to understand, why would the mother, in your opinion, deserve less time when she's watching, she's torturing her kids versus a stranger? Wouldn't you hold the parent more accountable?
And again, so they both got the same deal, right? Yeah. Like we didn't give her a less of a minimum time.
And I do believe that, because she is the mother and she did have a history, and people, joke that they were the 8 prisoners before the introduction of Jodi and like whatever. So I believe that it is the mother's responsibility, okay? To a degree, obviously, not to a degree, it definitely is. So I want to read for you guys what the Board of Pardons and Paroles, like what their like thing is that they do. Okay. So they are actually going to have a hearing. I don't know when the hearing is going to be. They have to book that hearing, and you can actually request the audio. I don't know if it's video, but I definitely know it's audio for the hearing. So I saw something online about it being like 12 months from when they were first arrested that this would happen. But it seems like it's going to, like, I know that it says the results of the hearing is made public information within 14 days of the hearing. So I believe the hearing has to happen in the next couple of months. So it's going to be interesting to find that out. I can't find out exactly specific information other than that they meet. The purpose of the board is to determine when and under what conditions persons convicted and serving prison sentences should be released. The board may also pardon, terminate, or commute offender sentences. The board has statutory authority to impose restitution or modify or forgive out court order restitution fines and forfeitures. The mission of the board is to render just decisions regarding parole and supervision of offenders. Decisions must be consistent with federal and state constitutions and state statutes, which is the thing about them getting a max of 30 years. I'm so happy that everyone, at least I've seen in like news articles, correct their news articles, because they said max 60. It is not max 60. Yes, in a beautiful world, it'd be like 15 per charge and then max of 60. But in the state of Utah, it is max of 30. So they're not going to get 30. There's no way they're going to get anything close to 30, just based on like thinking logically about this, not just like emotionally about how awful this is, but logically, they're not going to get 30. There's no way. It says the primary objective of the board is protection of the public. The board also has the duty to safeguard the rights of victims and offenders. The board has 5 full-time and 5 pro tempore members appointed by the governor with the advice and consent of the state. 1 full-time member is act as chair, and the pro tempore members sit at hearings when the full-time members of the hearing officers are not available. Okay, so there really isn't, honestly, I searched as much as I could. There isn't that much information about when the hearing is going to be, but that they need time to deliberate, and then that information will be public. So because it's a public case, I believe it's probably going to come out in some way. I'm definitely going to be looking into it as much as possible so I can share with you guys when that hearing is going to happen, and I will for sure request the audio for the hearing. But with them, like with anything, you have to know like the case number, you have to know the exact day, exact time, the name, their birth dates, their exact name spelling, like all those sort of things. So I will know all that besides like the date and time. Hopefully that information comes out because it's not readily available. It's not like I can find a document unless I request it from the prosecutor's office, which I guess I could request there. I'll probably do that. I'll probably request the document from the prosecutor's office about when their hearing is going to be. So I'm going to get on that actually. I didn't think about that till this very second, but definitely going to do that. Okay. So this other thing that I found just like right after the hearing, I saw this and I tried to find the court document, but because it's a child hearing, there is nothing. But yeah, I'm going to go into what Kevin is up to right now. Right after the hearing, I was looking up like what Kevin is up to. And in February, he had a hearing with the family court, and Page Six talked about it in February. So I found it almost 2 weeks ago now, this story. So I'm going to read the headline to you. So Page Six says, Ruby Franke's estranged husband, Kevin, files for guardianship over teen daughter as kids remain in state custody. It says, the estranged husband of child ABUSER, Ruby Franke, filed for guardianship over the former couple's 16-year-old daughter, Abby. Court filing seen by Page Six show. Kevin Franke submitted the request for custody on February 9th, less than 2 weeks before Ruby learned how much time behind bars she could be facing. Although the legal documents are sealed, the docket confirms the petition's filing. And it says that Kevin's attorney, Randy Kester, didn't immediately return Page Six's request for comment. Kevin, 45, has been trying to regain custody of his 4 minor children, Abby, Julie, 15, Russell, 12, and Eve, 10, ever since the disgraced 8-passenger host, 42, was arrested in August 2023. This is interesting. He obviously can't get the 2 younger ones because of the trauma they've gone through. So it's interesting that he's trying to get guardianship of Abby. I wonder why that is. I don't know really much about the 8 passengers. I've already shared that. So I don't know why specifically that daughter he would want to get guardianship over. But I'm going to do my best to try to keep up with the court docket at least, because that's public information. You just can't see the documents when it relates to children. But I can look up court. So like with Ruby and Jodi, I looked every freaking day, which is why I posted and knew when they were going to have their hearing, what time it was and all that sort of stuff, because I looked every single day. So with Kevin, I'm going to start doing that every day, and then I'll let you guys know if I see that there are any hearings happening. But I find this very interesting. What do you guys think? Do you find it interesting that Kevin is trying to apply for guardianship of his children? They can't get custody, right? I don't know how that works. It's very weird. It's very weird to me. So yeah, and that's what Kevin's up to. So the kids, I don't know where they are. Chad and Jennifer, I was going to mention it before, but I really don't want to read their letter. It was already read by Law and Crime, you know. But Chad and Jennifer are Ruby's parents. They wrote a letter to the parole board and the judge. They spelled Jodi's name wrong. I find it so weird when people spell people's name wrong when dealing with this case. Like, I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but like, you're talking about a case, at least get the people's names right, you know. They wrote Jodi with a Y, whatever. They didn't sound like they were that concerned about their children, that like their grandchildren. They just said that they hope that they forgive them one day and they can help. Like, I don't know. It shows where, like, at least I've seen online, like people believe Ruby gets like her parenting ways from her parents, and she's most like them out of all her siblings. So I guess it shouldn't surprise me that her parents wrote this letter and whatever. Like, I don't know. If you want to look it up, just like search it, but I can also put the letter on the screen. Maybe I've already done that. I don't know what editing Jessica has done, but if you're interested in the letter, it's stupid. And I don't like the letter. I think it doesn't, like, yeah, they're sending it for their daughter. I get it. But like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. Okay. So we all know that they said that, especially Eric Clarke said, the prosecutor had said that, you know, documents are going to be released at the 30-day mark. And if you're a watcher of my channel, you know that I applied for the body cam footage a long time ago. When this first happened, I applied for it. They rejected it, but it was like on pause, and I sent an appeal, but they basically just like ignored my appeal. So then I reached back out to the prosecutor's office just like last week, right after, I guess like a week after the hearings or something. And I heard back from the prosecutor's office. So there's good news. I will be getting it. I am looking forward to that. Everything is going to be released at the end of March. Okay. Well, like the third week of March. I'm going to say that. Okay. It's going to be released the third week of March. And I believe the news will probably be the first ones to release it. But I am taking this seriously. Okay, guys. My husband needed to use vacation time. We don't have the finance to take vacation and stuff. And we saved our vacation last year for when our daughter had her surgery and she's had multiple surgeries, but we've saved our vacation for like medical things. My husband really needed to use it up, and as in it has to be booked by a certain point, and then he has all year to use it. But we used the vacation day for the date that the Washington County Prosecutor's Office gave me for when this is going to be released. And my phone is going to be cleared out. I'm going to try my best to get the information out as soon as possible. I think what I'm going to do, it's going to be a battle of who can get it out first, basically. So this day is going to be wild when it comes out. But I was going to so with the Pam Botcher and Roy footage, it was already out. So I spent all day putting the subtitles in and stuff like that. But I love putting subtitles in because I feel like it obviously helps everyone. Even if you're hearing impaired to read it, and I like having subtitles on things whenever possible, at least custom made subtitles, not just the ones from YouTube. In order to get it out faster, I'd have to put out the raw footage. So I'm kind of thinking of doing one big raw footage and then releasing it later with subtitles. I don't know. My brain is I'm like thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. I'm like, what do I want? What do you want? Like that thing from the Notebook. What do you want?
What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want?
I'm like, what do I want? Do I want to, like, you know, do it right, which is like put up with the subtitles and like perfect right away, which I do prefer doing it that way. Or do I want to be one of the first to get the information out? I don't know. If you care as a viewer about which one, do you care? Like, would you want to see like the raw footage right away? Or do you want me to like, I don't know. I'm not going to take all day to just do subtitles. I think I'm going to get the raw footage. I think it's more exciting sometimes, raw footage, especially because like they're going to release stuff that's already redacted. So I don't have to like blur things, you know, but like, I don't know. I think if I do the raw footage, there's less of a chance I'm going to get paid by YouTube. And like the news will obviously be paid because like I've shared in other videos, like the news doesn't have the same regulations that like a commentary channel would have. They can put out whatever they want because they're the news. I'm really excited for this to come out, but I'm also super stressed. The third week of March is going to be freaking stressful just to get this stuff out. I just want to make sure everything is clear. I have my camera set up. I have everything to go. But like I said, I do everything on my phone. I'm like, do I buy a computer even though I can't afford a computer so I can get this out faster? I don't know. I really want to take YouTube seriously. Like I do take it seriously, but if I take it extra seriously, I can't afford a computer. So I don't know what to do, but my phone is sufficient. It does a great job. So, yeah. Anyways, it's coming out soon, this case. Just when you think everything is like concluded and done, all this crap is going to drop. Like literally the same day, body cam is going to come out. The phone calls are going to come out. Documents are going to come out. Like the jail phone calls, but redacted. Those are going to come out the same day as well. It's a wild day, guys. It's going to be a wild day. So I don't want to share the date just yet. I might share it the night before, unless someone else is sharing it, then you already know the date, but there's a presumed date, but that's not necessarily the date. So I know the exact date it's going to come out. I'm very excited. It's going to say the third week of March. So thank you so much for watching. It took me a while. I would apologize for getting this video, but it just took me time because I was waiting on the St. George court. So it just is what it is. Yeah, I don't know what my next video is going to be. I was looking into Nick Godejohn and I really want to talk about that, but I'm obviously kind of tired out with that case right now. So yeah, I'm just going to see what else is interesting, tickling my fancy, and going to talk about it. Oh, I did. So the reason why, like this video, I said on my community post is going to go out Saturday or Sunday. It's probably going to go out Monday now because yesterday I had to take a mental health day. I watched like all of Love is Blind and like really zonked out. Like my husband had the day off. I really needed a mental health day. And yeah, just because, you know, we all struggle in life. Life is exceptionally hard at certain points. And so that's just the season I'm in right now. So yeah, I hope if you're in a season where your mental health is kind of like going down, and even rest doesn't really help, I hope that you have outlets that are healthy, that can help you. And if not, that maybe videos like mine help you to kind of detach for a little bit from reality and just get that break that your brain needs. So anyways, I hope you guys had a great weekend and I'll catch you in another video. Bye guys.